How'd you get so tall?
I don't know.
How did I get so short? Never. Oh. We're on.
It's always
We're on?
that.
Oh.
You're on.
You're shrinking.
Welcome to the February 22nd Delaware County Board of Commissioners meeting. And could Sean Miller please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. I'm Barb Lewis, Vice Chair. To my left is Commissioner Jeff Benton. Sarah DeNovo is our clerk today, and our administrator is Mike Fromer. Let's begin.
Resolution number 18-169, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held February 15th, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-169. Mr. Merrill is absent today. Mrs. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Benton.
Aye.
We have no public or elected comment this morning. Resolution number 18-170, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CMA-PR 0221 and procurement card payments in batch numbers PCA-PR 0221.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-170. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-171, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-171. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-172, in the matter of accepting and approving the Delaware County Sheriff's Office Transport Report for the month of January 2018.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-172. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-173, setting date and time for viewing and public hearing for consideration of amendment applications within the drainage improvement petition for the Reuter number 86 and Toot number 98 watersheds.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-173. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Would Director Miller like to speak about the next resolution?
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Miller, Director, Delaware County Emergency Management. I have not yet received notification that FEMA has approved the funding that would necessitate this supplemental appropriations. So I'll just discuss it today, and perhaps we could get it on a future agenda once that has been done. But I would like to take this opportunity to provide kind of another overview of the project, since it's been a while since I've addressed the commissioners on this project. Just kind of give an overview of where it stands. I have a couple pictures of the structure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Oh, my.
Looks like
It's certainly a different kind of a
Space station.
design, but the impetus and the initial rationale of this structure is we know that Ohio and Central Ohio are prone to wind events, and this project has been in the works for several years now. But it gained new urgency in 2016 when a tornado struck the state park. Thankfully, no one was injured as a result of that incident. However, this past July, there was a straight-line windstorm that went through, and 2 campers were sent to the hospital as a result of the injuries that they had. So we know that campers are a vulnerable population. And we had identified the Delaware State Park Campground years ago as a place that we would like to do such a mitigation project. Mitigation being an action in emergency management where we reduce or eliminate the impacts of various incidents. And wind is one of those that we know is of concern in Ohio. So that's kind of the rationale behind it. ODNR has been very involved in this process, and they have agreed to chip in $120,000 of ODNR funds for the project as well. As mentioned, it is at the Delaware State Park Campground for the use of the campers there or any other park goers that could avail themselves of it. The diameter is approximately 80 feet, and the shelter capacity is 856 persons. That is very close proximity to each other. They'll probably make some new friends while they're sheltering in there. But it is not a long-term kind of a thing. It would be, for those quick-moving storms, and they're not going to be in there for more than an hour or so in that kind of number. It does also have the ability to be used for educational purposes for ODNR, so this thing is not going to sit vacant until the next storm comes along. It can be utilized for a whole host of different things. FEMA allows for that. And the structure itself must meet standards that are in keeping with FEMA Document 361 and International Code Council Document 500. And those speak to the wind requirements, a design wind speed that must be met for the structure. The initial grant was $600,000 federal, $100,000 through Ohio EMA, and $100,000 from the county, which has already been incorporated. And this supplemental appropriations, whenever it goes on the agenda, I would like to point out that is not a request for more county funding. This supplemental appropriation would take into account first that at budget time last year, I really did not know how far along we'd be in the process. I didn't have a good feel for how much left in the project we would have in 18. So I ended up not budgeting enough of those remaining funds for 18. And then secondly, we have requested through Ohio EMA additional federal and state dollars, so an additional $125,841 federal and $20,974 Ohio EMA dollars. And those additional funds are needed due to costs having gone up over the past few years. The initial budget, I think, was established 3 or 4 years ago now, so that in construction time frame, there have been some changes there. But also, these additional funds would allow us to use more of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources dollars to go to things that the grant won't pay for. And what I mean by that is the grant and its matching funds, the grant dollars and the matching funds must be used on things that directly go to the shelter itself. So what I mean by that is the grant funds will not pay for things such as paint or carpet or additional parking, things that would really make the structure more useful, especially as ODNR will be the ultimate owner of this structure. And so the grant funds will only go to cover the most basic of essentials for the shelter, but not for those other things that would really make the structure more useful in the long run and give us kind of a better utility out of the structure. And so carpeting and sound deadening panels, the structure is concrete, of course, and if you're inside, the echo is tremendous, and it really would be impactful to the overall utility of the structure if we weren't able to purchase things like the carpeting, like the sound deadening panels, things of that nature. And so, at any rate, these additional federal and state funds would then enable us to use more of the ODNR funding on those things that the grant will not pay for itself. And even with the change in this, the scope of the grant funding, the budget, this has been proven to be, through FEMA's own software, cost effective. And so FEMA has this somewhat involved calculation software for determining the benefit-cost ratio of these FEMA projects. And with this new project funding, the benefit-cost ratio is determined to be 6.48. So it's still cost-effective. And I should also point out that these funds were previously allocated to the state of Ohio for other mitigation projects. These projects have either fallen through or come under budget. So these projects were previously allocated or earmarked, whatever you want to call it, for Ohio, specifically for mitigation funding activities such as this. And Ohio EMA has been a large advocate for us in receiving these funds. I believe that they see the importance of making the structure as useful as possible for ODNR. This structure has at least a useful lifespan of 30 years, and so we want to get the biggest bang for our investment dollars as possible out of this structure. And lastly, I will say also that the EMA Executive Committee at our last meeting was supportive of the change to the budget as well. They passed a motion in support of that for me to move forward. So with that, I would be happy to entertain any questions that you might have on the project.
Commissioner Benton?
Is it finished at this point?
It's very close to being finished. We have a couple of outstanding items and some change orders that are pending hearing back on this additional funding. So it's, I would say, probably 70% done, but there are still some final details that we have to work out that are left up to some additional funding and things of that nature. I would also like to say that we are working with 2K General. They are our contractor, and they're out of Delaware. They've been good to work with, especially given the somewhat unique nature of this project. There's, to my knowledge, only one other similar structure in our close proximity, and that's Licking County. About 10 years ago, they did a similar project at a mobile home park. But we are working with 2K General Delaware. They're our design builder.
Is it all season? It'll be.
It will have yes, sir. It will have HVAC, so it will be usable year round. And I think from that regard, it will be used quite a bit.
So you could put a golf driving range in there and practice nets.
Yes, sir. As long as it didn't interfere with the sheltering purpose, you could do that. We've joked about mini golf, so.
Mini golf on one side, practice nets on the other. That works.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the difference in the funding, the extra funding? What is that number again?
The federal additional funding would be $125,841. The additional Ohio EMA funding is $20,974, and this would assume using about that same amount, 21,000 of the ODNR funding for the grant match. So the rest of the ODNR funding could go to those other things that would be outside of the grant, and that would give us greater flexibility on some of those things that would make the structure that much more useful. But again, those figures are an additional federal amount of $125,841 federal, $20,974 Ohio EMA funding.
Okay. And they're just waiting on the confirmation then from FEMA?
Yes. I was hoping very much that I would have that for you today, but I just, within the past 5 minutes, heard that Ohio EMA had a conference call with FEMA. They have tried to stress to them the time-sensitive nature of this, given that we are right in the middle of it, and they are trying to move as quickly as possible. It's my understanding that the final approval should be forthcoming very quickly. Ohio EMA does not see any issues with this, and I believe it's sitting on the person's desk who has the final authority to authorize it. So it's just a matter of getting that signature. And I apologize. I wish I could have had that for you today.
Okay. So we'll wait on this then until you get that confirmation.
Great. Perhaps next week,
Okay.
I hope.
All righty. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Sean.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
That moves us to item number 9, resolution number 18-174, in the matter of approving a permit for the use of Delaware County facilities.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Communications Manager. We have a facilities permit request from Harold Wolford for the Vietnam Veterans Day ceremony, which will take place on Saturday, March 24th at noon on the front lawn of the historic courthouse. So we recommend your approval, and I have the form for you to sign.
Vote on motion 18-174. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Resolution number 18-175, in the matter of approving the First Amendment to the rental agreement between MT Technologies Incorporated, the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, and the Delaware County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second, discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-175. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-176, in the matter of approving a lease amendment for secure storage facilities.
So moved.
Second, discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-176. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye. That's okay.
Resolution number 18-177, in the matter of approving an agreement between the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, and Interaction Insight GLR Corporation, doing business as Stephen Campbell and Associates for the maintenance of software and equipment.
So moved.
Second, discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-177. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
That brings us to page 555, and item number 13 has been pulled, so we'll move on to item number 14. Resolution number 18-178, in the matter of approving services agreement with Status Control and Integration Incorporated for electronic integration services for the Regional Sewer District.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Mag with the Regional Sewer District. This is our annual contract with SCI where they perform SCADA and integration services at our major treatment plants. So it's Alum Creek, OECC, North Star, and Lower Scioto. And this is in line with what we've seen historically on the cost.
Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-178. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-179, in the matter of approving the sanitary sewer improvement plans for the park at Saddle-and-Steen Phase 1.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
This is a plan set for a new park that's going to be out in Village of Powell, City of Powell, sorry. They're going to have playgrounds as well as a ball field and a restroom facility there. So we're requesting your approval on that plan set.
Okay. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-179. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
That brings us to an item I think you will be addressing.
Okay. Shall I read the resolution?
Do you want to read the explanation why we have to?
Sure. What we need to do today, we had a public hearing scheduled at 10 o'clock for consideration of the Kingston Township Watershed Drainage Improvement Petition filed by Mary Beth Mellick and others, and we are going to have to schedule a new hearing for that. Unfortunately, Commissioner Merrill could not be with us today, and so we have two dates that we are available on, and one is Thursday, March 8th, and the other is Thursday, April 26th, both at 10 a.m. So,
The first and second hearing?
no, just the next hearing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we should do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I
since
mean,
we were going to do it today, may as well do it
Yeah,
the first date.
okay. March 8th, then.
Resolution number 18-180, in the matter of setting date and time for the continuation of the public hearing for consideration of the Kingston Township number 2017-1 drainage improvement petition.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-180. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
To Administrator reports.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fromer, County Administrator. Just one thing to report. Tomorrow, myself, folks from the Regional Sewer District, County Engineer's Office, and also Bob Lamb with Economic Development. We're going to be meeting with Wontangi Schools to just have kind of a collaboration meeting, and I think we'll be giving them some updates on some road projects. They're going to give us some updates on, redistricting and some of their new, the new high school, and also we want to talk to them a little bit about incentives for new development and things of that nature. So it's something I set up with Superintendent Rafe, and I think it'll be, a nice meeting to collaborate and touch base with each other. I can see it being an annual type thing to do. So, but
Have we ever done that before?
I'm not sure that I think each department maybe has I know Tiffany worked with them on the Berlin High School tap fees and things of that nature. But I think it'll be good to talk about a wide range. I think Bob wants to work with them on an MOU on some incentives and things of that nature, so that'll be part of the discussion. So
Yeah, it's great. Get that input first
Oh, yeah.
before any specific project comes along.
So, but that's it. That's all I have.
Just a couple things. We've got, I'm going to a lunch today with Main Street Delaware, which is an organization we're all familiar with, and they have an annual lunch where they go over their annual Historical Society accreditation, and so it's always good to catch up with them. Tomorrow, I'm going to an economic development incentive program put on by Voorhees, so that is going to be very interesting, I'm sure. One thing I wanted to point out was Jenna Jackson has put out a economic development incentive resource guide and a questionnaire that she sent out to, I guess Bob and Jenna, neither one are here, but she sent this out to, I think, about 400 businesses in Delaware County. And, yeah, it's got a brochure describing the resources that are available, whether it's financing or marketing or employees or government assistance.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and this is a very important initiative because, as we all know, most of our jobs that are added with existing companies, and they tend to be we don't tend to pay as much attention to them, and we haven't in the past, so I think this is great that we're doing it, and it's a survey, then she's had, I think, 44 responses as of a few days ago, which is very good, and then she's got some appointments set up to go over and to meet with some of them to discuss their issues, just what what's working well, what we can do better. So again, I think it's very important we keep in touch with them and make sure they know that things are available that the county has through the Finance Authority or our Economic Development Group that can provide significant assistance to existing employers who want to expand. So that's
that's great.
Yeah, it's a nice initiative, and it's getting a good response. We did have our city council meeting last Thursday.
Yes.
We haven't had a commissioner session since then. I thought it went very well. I want to compliment the city council, Mayor Riggle and Tom Homan, and the city council members who were there and their staff. I thought it was a very productive meeting. We had a bunch of people from our side as well, and working on a lot of issues. I thought Commissioner Merrill went back to the last one and talked about what was on the list 2.5 years ago, and a lot of it has actually been accomplished, which is great.
Yes.
There a lot of the issues that were on there 2.5 years ago have been accomplished. So again, we'll continue to work with them. We have obviously joint activities and goals, so it's very encouraging. Unfortunately, I just found out this week that the new fair building is not going to be open in time for the fair this fall. They've run into some issues with zoning and getting approvals and so on, so it's just not going to be open in time for September, but they're moving forward on it. It's just not going to be ready. And let's see, DKMM has set up an event for special collection at the fairgrounds, but it's not till October 13th. It's hazardous waste and paint. They do these events every year. That's always a good way to properly dispose of some materials that you can't just throw in the trash. So that's all I got.
Okay. We had a Justice and Public Safety Committee at our state organization, County Commissioners of Ohio, and Patrick was one of the panelists, and the discussion was regarding Next Generation 911. And so we had a great update on that. And Patrick, if you could just explain a little bit about what Next Gen 911 is, and what I'd like to do is to have the PowerPoint that was used at the presentation presented before us in a work session. So it was well worth it. I had no idea all that was going on. There's a committee at the State House that you can mention. Thank you, Patrick.
Good morning, Commissioners. Patrick Brand with the 911 Center. Yes, what they're looking at is for the Next Generation 911. It's where, as you look today, we still have copper that comes into this building from a phone company. You can talk over the internet, you can talk anywhere, but to link from this office to another office and transferring calls is impossible, and we're still archaic in that aspect. And they look at how trying to get all the centers to more or less be into a one core network of, if you will, and being able to get all the communications route through to it, where you can do it off of the mapping. We all have GIS mapping. The state is actually underway with doing a mapping project for the whole state through the LBRS. I know Rob Parsons and Auditor Kites' office is involved with it, where if a call comes in off of a cellular, it can pick up the location on the map and actually route to the correct 911 center versus how it's going off the cellular of the face of the tower and such and being routed. So they're looking at upgrading that whole platform and getting all these centers on board so we can actually transfer. The state of Indiana and I believe the state of Tennessee is already up and running on a next generation type atmosphere. One of the points that came out of the meeting was the fact that when wireless came into plan, I think the state of Ohio was number 47 on the list out of all the states to get this done. So they don't want us at the very bottom. They'd like to get a little bit more proactive instead of being behind. The other part of this is a revision of ORC 128. 128 has not been revised in several years. There's some very archaic information in there. It actually relates back to some training for telecommunicators that goes back to the Department of Education section of the ORC, which needs to all be cleaned up, and they're working on. A couple of the two big sticking points I think Commissioner Lewis will probably agree to on it was one is the planning commission under 911. Yes, we do have our 911 board. That is separate. Not all counties have a 911 board, but we all have a 911 planning committee. And within the planning committee, right now under 12806, as of the 2010 census, which is our last official census, we're at 174,000 people. So under that, we have to have three people. One's the president of the Board of Commissioners, one's the most populous township representative, and then you have the most populous municipal area. So I want to say it was Jim Hagan from Orange Township. I don't remember what commissioner was at the time, and it was Mr. Holman. Might have been Mr. Evans or Jim Ward. So it was the last ones on it. So part of 12806 is they want to expand this something. Now, if we do go above 175,000, we do get 2 additional at-large people on there. They want to make it that all counties can have a minimum of 5 on the planning committee. The big sticking point is who are the 5? They would like to keep there's 2 proposals in front of the state EZNet, which is made up of both caucuses down at the State House and some other elected officials. Right now, they want to keep it the 3 main of the county commissioner, representative, the most populous township, most populous city. The BSSA has requested that they be automatically number 4.
Better tell them what the BSSA.
Yeah.
Yes, the BSSA has said they want to be number 4, no if, ands, or buts.
Who is the BSSA?
Yeah.
Buckeye State Sheriff's Association.
Okay.
Yes. That would be your Buckeye State Sheriff's Association. They want number 4. But as we've seen, not all county sheriffs are involved in 911 in the community. I mean, Sheriff Martin does support us and is on the 911 board. So there is a big sticking point on that down at the State House or within the EZNet of what they're going to do and what they're proposing. From the commissioners that we heard from at the meeting on Tuesday, a good portion of them were concerned with the sheriff being on there. And then a couple of them did bring up valid points that if the sheriff wasn't there, they could have other issues. So I don't know how it's going to go over to the State House. It'll be interesting. The other big part that came out of it was funding. We do know that to make a statewide ESINet, statewide network to work, there is cost going to be involved. There's no doubt about it. Right now, they're proposing of going up to 50 cents per device. And instead of being at, like right now on your cell phone, if you have 3 lines on your account, you get 75 cents. It's 25 cents. So instead of going from there, they want to double it up to 50, but they also want to take it to any device that can call 911. If you think about it, you have so many cellulars. Over 70% of our calls, 75% of our calls are wireless devices. How many houses still have copper in them? Not much. But you have all these houses that have WOW, Time Warner, whoever internet company you have, the Magic Jacks, you have all that ability. Those guys aren't getting charged anything. So they want to take it to a universal device fee and to cover the cost. There's a whole breakdown of the spread. I'm not going to go over that today for you guys, but unless Commissioner Lewis wants it. But of how they want to divvy up the funds, we'll leave that to you for another night. I don't want to take up Sean's time, but we're good.
Yeah. No, it was a fascinating meeting, and as far as this moving along, I think there was a May date given, but I don't know that that's going to be met.
Well, you have election time coming up, and you know as well as I do how campaign season goes downtown.
So anyway, it's on the horizon, but
yes.
Most of the commissioners there, as you mentioned, Patrick, thought that they wanted the commissioners to have the ability to appoint the sheriff if we want to.
Right.
But then if we don't want to, that's okay too. I mean, it does vary.
Yeah, most of the majority out of them said they wanted to leave it to the Board of Commissioners to make the at-large spots. There's nothing that says they can't have 100 people on it. They just want to take it to a minimum of 5 versus 3 to make it equal amongst all. But there's concerns from a couple of the areas that, well, if we leave it up to the 3 that are on there, they could bring other city municipalities involved, and then the county's more or less outvoted on it, and you can almost kick the county off of it and say thanks. So that was part of their concerns.
Any questions? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay. And that's all I have.
We do have need for executive this morning.
I think we're going to pass on that.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, I don't think we
don't really need to with Commissioner Merrill.
Yeah, without Commissioner Merrill. Okay. Any other business to come before us? Then we are adjourned.
All right. Way to go, Herb.